The engagement ring had been a family heirloom, thin gold, a modest diamond, old enough to carry the weight of promises that outlived the people who first made them. It sat on Eleanor Hale's finger the night everything broke. The chandelier above the dining table cast honeyed light across polished silver and crystal. Her mother had insisted on a small celebratory dinner. Small, Eleanor would later realize, meant controlled, staged. "I have something to say," her sister Lillian announced, lifting her glass with a smile that always seemed to arrive half a second too early, like she'd rehearsed it in a mirror. Eleanor felt it before she understood it. A shift in the room, a tightening. Beside her, Daniel didn't take her hand. Instead, he stood. "Eleanor," he began, his voice already apologizing, already retreating. "I didn't mean for this to happen the way it did." The way it did? Why did I suddenly feel dread grip me so fiercely where happiness lived just moments before? Lillian reached for his arm. Not tentatively, not guiltily, possessively. Their mother's expression was composed, almost serene. Their father stared into his wineglass as if it contained a safer version of reality. "We didn't plan it," Lillian said, though the triumph in her voice betrayed her. "But you know how these things are. You can't help who you fall in love with." Eleanor looked down at her hand, the ring still warm from her skin, and slid it off slowly. No one stopped her. No one defended her. "Of course," her mother added gently, as though smoothing wrinkles from a dress. "We want what's best for both of you. And Daniel, well, he's always been such a good match for our family." Our family. Not for Eleanor. Never for Eleanor. She placed the ring on the table with a soft click that sounded to her like a door locking. "I hope you're very happy," she said. Her voice did not tremble. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing how devastated she really was. That would come later, when she was alone. Eleanor didn't understand how she went from planning a life with Daniel in one moment to watching him build a life with her sister instead. The betrayal from her family and Daniel was too much to bear. The months that followed blurred into something gray and airless. Eleanor moved out of the apartment she and Daniel had chosen together, packed her life into boxes that smelled faintly of betrayal, and rented a small, quiet place where no one knew her name. Days passed where she barely spoke. Nights stretched long, filled with memories that refused to dull. Invitations came, wedding announcements, carefully worded messages from her parents urging her to understand, to heal, to be part of the family again. She didn't respond. There is a particular kind of grief reserved for the living, for people who are still there, still breathing, but no longer yours. It hollowed her out, until one morning she woke up and realized she had a choice, to remain in the ruins or to build something new. She chose to build. It began quietly. A job she almost didn't take, assistant to a woman known for her ruthless brilliance in the world of art acquisitions. Eleanor had no experience, only instinct and a stubborn refusal to remain small. "You're overqualified for being broken," her new employer told her on the first day, glancing over Eleanor's resume. "Try not to waste that." Eleanor didn't. She worked, she learned, she listened. Where others hesitated, she observed. Where others flattered, she understood. Within a year, she wasn't assisting, she was advising. Within 2, she was indispensable. And somewhere along the way, without fanfare or expectation, she met Adrian Vance. He didn't sweep her off her feet. He didn't need to. Adrian exuded quiet confidence, measured words, and a kind of wealth that didn't announce itself. It simply existed. Old money, people whispered. Influence that moved silently, like currents beneath still water. He met Eleanor at a gallery opening where she corrected him, politely, precisely, about the provenance of a painting. Most people would have been offended. Adrian smiled. "Then I suppose I should be asking you questions instead," he said. And he did. He asked about her work, her thoughts, her ambitions, not her past. not the parts of her that had been bruised and discarded. He saw her as she was becoming. That mattered more than anything. 3 years later, Eleanor Hale's name appeared on the Times Society pages, not as someone's daughter, not as someone's abandoned fiancé, but as herself. A private engagement announced between Eleanor Hale, a rising force in international art acquisitions, and Adrian Vance. The photograph captured her mid-laugh, head tilted slightly toward Adrian, who looked at her as though she were the only person in the room. She wore no family heirloom, only a ring chosen for her, not inherited expectations, but a deliberate, undeniable choice. Her mother called first. "Oh, Eleanor," she began, her voice trembling with what might have been emotion or calculation. "We're so proud of you. We always knew you'd find your way." We, as if they had been part of it, as if they had not stood silent while her world collapsed. Lillian sent a message next, shorter, sharper. "We should talk. It's been too long." Eleanor stared at the words, remembering another table, another moment, another version of herself who had waited for love, for loyalty, for someone to choose her. No one had, until she chose herself. The invitation she sent to her family was not to dinner to meet Daniel, not to any sit-down family discussion to reconcile transgressions from the past. Why rehash what cannot be changed? They showed their true colors long ago. It was a single envelope, addressed neatly to her family, containing a clipping from the Times Society pages. Their own names were nowhere on it, no other note, no additional explanation. Just the undeniable truth of her life, visible, untouchable, and entirely beyond their reach. On the evening of her engagement celebration, the ballroom glowed with soft light and quiet elegance. Conversations flowed, laughter rose and fell, and Eleanor moved through it all with effortless grace. Adrian found her near the balcony, looking out over the city. "Any regrets?" he asked gently. She considered the question, thought of the past, not with pain now, but with clarity. "No," she said, and she meant it. Inside, someone mentioned her family, something about not seeing them in attendance. Eleanor turned back to the room, slipping her hand into Adrian's. "They can read about me in the papers or whatever they can find on social media," she said softly. "That will be as close as they will ever get to me, which should be enough." And this time, when the door closed on that chapter of her life, it would stay closed. If you enjoyed this short story, please hit the subscribe button to our channel. Thank you.